there are certain areas under the curve that you need to memorize. And the reason why I'm saying you need to memorize them is because these are areas that we use very, very frequently in inferential statistics. Now, I know we have not started inferential statistics yet. We are just using the hand tools, which have their place, right? Hand tools are very, very important. But as we transition from using descriptive statistics, the hand tools, as we transition to using the inferential statistics, the power tools, we are going to have to understand areas under the curve really well, and we're going to have to understand or memorize certain areas under the curve. All right, so do you remember me saying that the vast majority of Z-scores in the universe and beyond, whoops, I'm sorry, that shouldn't have popped up just yet. The vast majority are between plus and minus 3. All right, well, we're going to get a little more precise, and we're going to look at what percentage of the population of Z-scores, so no matter what variable you're looking at, you can convert it to Z, and then look at what percentage of that variable, those Z-scores are between plus and minus 2.58. And the answer is 99%. So if we just looked at what percentage of people in the universe and beyond, so people who've ever lived, now lived, and will live, have an IQ that when we convert it to Z, it's between plus and minus 2.58. The answer is 99. 99% of all people, past, present, and future, will have IQs that are between plus and minus 2.58 Z-scores. Okay, so what about 95% of the population? If we look at their IQs, 95% of all people, past, present, and future, will have an IQ score that, when converted to Z, will be between minus 1.96 and plus 1.96. And then what about 68%? 68% of the population, past, present, and future, will have an IQ score, when converted to Z, will fall between plus and minus 1. Now that's for IQ, and you might say, well, what about for weight and for height and for any variable, extroversion, agreeableness? It doesn't matter which variable you're talking about. When you convert that variable to Z, and hypothetically, you're looking at all instances of that variable, past, present, future, universe, and beyond. Take that variable, convert it to a Z-score, to Z-scores, and you are going to get the Z-score distribution where 68% of all those values are between plus and minus 1 Z-scores. 95% of the Z-scores are between minus 1.96 and plus 1.96. And then 99% of all Z-scores are between plus and minus 2.58. People use 3, but being precise, it's actually plus and minus 2.58. So this is what you have to memorize. Between plus and minus 1, 68% of all the Z-scores occur. Between plus and minus 1.96, we have 95% of all Z-scores. And between plus and minus 2.58, we have 99% of all Z-scores. And that's true for any variable that ever existed or will exist. Unless the laws of physics change and, but I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. All right. Oh, was a reminder, remind me to remind you to memorize areas under the curve. All right. Once you have, the areas memorized that I gave you on the previous slide. So do you remember what this is? This is minus 1 and this is plus 1. the area between is 68%. Between minus 1.96 and plus 1 minus, between plus and minus 1.96 is 95. And then between plus and minus 2.58 is 99. Once you know those, you can figure out, for example, what is the area above 1.96? Above 1.96. Well, if, let's say, in between is 95, what's left over? If you have 95 between plus and minus 1.96, that means 5% is left over, right? Because 95 plus 5 is 100%. So if this is 95 and you've got 5% left over, that means this combined area here is 2.5%. And this combined area here is 2.5%, and that gives you your 5%. All right, and it's the same because this whole distribution is symmetrical. So let's do the next one. If you know that between plus and minus 2.58 is 99%, so we've got 99 in the middle between these two values. Oops, sorry. All right, so 99 between these two values, then what's left over? 1%, right? So you'll have to take that 1% and split it between two tails because you've got one over here and one over there. So that means above 2.58 has got to be 0.5%, and below 2.58 in this direction has to be 0.5%. Everything ultimately needs to add up to 100%. Okay? So if you need to, you review that. And this information will make understanding inferential statistics a lot easier. So it is pretty important that you be able to get this.